Hello dear friends. In this video I will show you two scary stories. Ghost story of Monroe's house. Here is the first story. There are many haunted places, and they vary between hotels, tunnels, houses, prisons, and even passages between residences. But to move into a house without knowing what happened to it before you came is really scary. Of course, you are not required to search behind every house you move to. Otherwise, you find yourself on the road without shelter. But you have to listen to the advice of others when their eyes widen. Once you hear where you will live again. The Norris family, a small family consisting of a husband named Eddie Norris and his wife, Mrs. Pam Norris, recently moved to the Monroe neighborhood of Hartford, located in the United States of America. This beautiful house outwardly and standing tall among the other houses within the neighborhood. The couple moved into the house without knowing anything about its history or what is happening with it, or even what the neighbors see. Many of the residents near the Norris family's house claimed that they had seen frightening ghosts of two children standing in the windows of the first and second floors. In addition to the ghost of a woman who appears and disappears every once in a while and is only seen on the first floor. This is regardless about the sounds that are heard at night to break his misdemeanor, such as the sudden screams and the terrifying laughter of children. As everyone in the neighborhood saw and heard these strange sounds before the Norris family came to live in the house. Suspicious events immediately upon the arrival of the couple. They felt that there was something fishy about their new home. And indeed their feeling was true. It was not until time passed that they saw things and furniture moving from their place suddenly, and the sounds emanating from the house became more clear, and the sudden laughter of children became inevitable. Minutes did not pass without it. The matter did not stop there, but the doors and windows began to open and close on their own. Here, Mrs. Pam decided to put the Bible in all corners of the house, in the hope that those rebellious spirits would go away. But the matter got worse, and the voices rose frighteningly and intolerably. And here Mrs. Eddie's sister advised them to move out of the house immediately without delay. But Mrs. Pam was very curious to know what happened in the house, so that those tormented souls would be left stuck in it. Indeed, Mrs. Pam brought a spiritual medium to intervene and tell her about the secret of the negative energy that fills the place. And indeed, after several sessions, the spiritual medium told that this house had been inhabited for many years by a family of unknown surname, and they had two children, Emma and David. These two children had been subjected to all kinds of torture and abuse. The body this was at the hands of their father until the tragedy occurred one day, when the child was burned and her body was buried in an unknown location inside the house, while the child was killed and his body was buried in one of the walls of the first floor. Complete work to the house in an attempt to portray anything supernatural. Indeed, they got what they wanted. So while placing their equipment on the first floor, they saw a shadow moving in front of them and suddenly disappeared, saying, "You do not know how big I am." Here everyone was terrified and kept chasing the place from which the sound was issued. But they did not. They find something. Then they come to the remains of burnt clothes for a girl with a magazine next to her from 1920 AD. Here they informed the policemen to investigate this unfortunate incident. And after several days, the policemen and work teams from the media stated that they had been subjected to cases of touching and burning their bodies inside this house. Mrs. Pam, saying that she had suffered many slaps and burns while they were in the house, and whenever she wanted to go down to the first floor, she smelled the smell of burning sulfur, and she always felt bored and depressed whenever she looked at the wall on the first floor. YouTubers spent 2 days in the house hoping to record any incident. Indeed, they said that a ghost carrying a Ouija board appeared to them, and when the light was brought to see it, the ghost disappeared, leaving the board behind. After that, the owner of the house decided to officially close it forever. And this house is still attractive to all interested parties in metaphysics. Story 2. Alcatraz prison is located in the state of San Francisco. and it is located on an island adjacent to the state. And it has now been converted into a tourist area after it was closed in 1963 AD. This prison has an ancient, long and bloody history with the American Indians, who are the indigenous people of America, who applied very harsh methods with those who outlaws, as the accused and outlaws were banished to that island, which was known at the time to be inhabited by ghosts and evil spirits, to spend there a period of punishment or to remain there forever. And it was known as a gate overlooking hell. It is worth noting that when the Americans arrived to that island after many years, they used it as a military barracks, and then it turned into a federal prison after that, surrounded by very tight security, in the year 1934 AD. And this prison included a group of the most notorious criminals on a global level. And this prison was known for its strictness and harsh dealings with criminals, to the extent that prisoners who did not abide by the laws moved to it in order to teach them to abide by it. It was noticed that those who were sent to this prison and then returned from it were in complete silence, did not speak to anyone, and remained in a state of severe depression until to commit suicide or to enter into severe hysterical states. And whoever among them was talking to others after the seizure of convulsions ended, he used to say that the prison was haunted and that the ghosts there had tortured them at night and did not leave them for a single moment. This prison is located on an island in the San Francisco Bay. It is completely isolated from any form of life, built on a very huge rock above the island, and surrounded by water on all sides. And the number of rooms inside the prison reaches 378 rooms. And in 1967 a decision was issued to close the prison completely, as the officials saw that this form of prison it is considered a harsh punishment. As the United States of America began to adopt at that time the idea that prison is a place for the rehabilitating of the accused and not his punishment. Currently, the island and the prison have become a tourist attraction for all those interested around the world. Reports issued from this place confirm the existence of abnormal activity inside this particular prison. And there is testimonies of eyewitnesses who visited the place in a tourist area, that there were feet wandering inside the prison at night, and that they had heard the sounds of screams coming from the prison rooms inside, in addition to the occurrence of abnormal events since its establishment, where all the prisoners and workers inside the prison witnessed abnormal events. They all testified that they saw spectra of old prisoners, and the emergence of strange blue lights hovering in the air without justification, with hearing voices of crying, regular wailing and laughter as well, in addition to dragging heavy objects and chains. And the rooms that could be heard were the sound of it is empty rooms with no prisoners. One of the prisoners testified that he had seen a dark, black object, his eyes glowing red as if from fire. And the strange thing is that after several hours of the prisoner's testimony of seeing this object, he was found inside his cell burned and with the worst signs of terror and pain on his face. The workers in the place testified that no fire occurred in the place at that time. Those testimonies were not confined to the prisoners only, who in charge witnessed these strange phenomena. They also testified to hearing the voices of women wailing and laughing in the middle of the night, although this prison had never been stepped on by a female foot before. As for the prison guards, they witnessed seeing a strange object between the corridors, but it was disappearing as soon as they approached it. And they testified that sometimes it might be long, and at other times it looks like a child. In 2015, a British couple testified that they had seen a ghost of a woman wandering around the place, and they took a picture of her, and that they did not believe in the existence of ghosts, but their vision of that woman was different, as she was looking at the camera as if she was aware that she was about to take a picture of her. If you liked the video, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel to receive all new updates. Thanks.